How's it going, guys? My name is Connor Ryan, and I'm here to talk about a pretty interesting topic. It's how you can use GitHub to kind of look at it as a IDP tool, as a way to deploy infrastructure to Terraform Cloud. And before we get into it, I'm going to lay the groundwork here, and we're going to have a little introduction. And for here, we actually do have a live demo. We are one of the few presentations where I can treat you guys with a live demo, so I do hope it goes well. So it'll be fun. Sit back, relax, and I hope you learned something here. So we're going to start with a little bit about who 8451 is. We are Kroger's data analytics company. So I could sit here and tell about what we do, but there was actually a story that was told to me at a recruiting event back in college, and it kind of stuck with me, kind of got me to where I am now, talking to you guys, and I would like to share that story with you. So I was back in college, and at this event, this guy came up, and he was telling a story about this lady going to Kroger who was pregnant and buying items related to her pregnancy. And at the time, her family had no idea. She didn't tell them, and then all of a sudden her house was getting ads related to like diapers or baby formula, baby wipes, and they were confused at why they were getting that. They're like, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't match any of our past ads we were getting, and so the daughter ended up coming out and telling the family that she was pregnant, and all ended pretty happily. Now, I don't know if that story is true or not. Maybe they just use it to entice college kids, but hey, it kind of worked for me, and I'm here now. So I'm no data scientist, but it's my job at the company to work on the infrastructure side of things, DevOps. We want to enable our data scientists to just be able to work with the data. They don't have to worry about any permissions, any infrastructure behind the scenes. We want them to be able to do their best work without having to worry about anything else. And that kind of brings us back to our day one operations in the cloud, where we started to get where we started to dip our toes into infrastructure as code. We started to play around with Terraform, started to get modules set up, started to get policies in place, best practices in place, and started to branch out to other teams inside inside our organization. And here we started to get more and more deployments to the cloud, so we needed a way to kind of manage all of these deployments. And as you guessed it, this brought us to Cloudify. Cloudify is an open source cloud orchestration platform where you can create, manage, and create, update, and manage all of your cloud infrastructure. Now, this was my first introduction into Terraform, and we had this huge monolithic repository that we used to deploy Cloudify. And let me tell you, it was a pain. I don't really like open source products when you're trying to maintain it as at a large scale, because let's say something goes wrong. I mean, yeah, we have dev, test, stage, prod, lifecycle environments, but something can always sneak through prod and cause it to go down. And there, it could be down for a couple hours, or we have to try to redeploy it, and then that's going to cause another, that'll take about an hour to redeploy. And if you try to do that 7 times, where there's your whole day just trying to restand back up Cloudify. So that wasn't really going to scale with us in the long term. We wanted Terraform to be accessed across every, to be able to access across from everyone in the organization. We wanted it to be easily adoptable. We wanted people to use it without having to worry about any extra configurations or any big learning curve. We just wanted them to get Terraform and to work with it. So here is when we made our switch back in 2022 to Terraform Cloud. And I got to be a part of that switch. I got to handle state migrations, migrating everything out of Azure storage accounts into Terraform Cloud, rewriting Terraform configurations to remove Terragrunt, which, if you don't know what that is, Terragrunt is a wrapper for Terraform, kind of. It allows you to loop on providers, which still isn't a thing today. But we didn't want to have people
write Terragrunt. I mean, it's not user-friendly. There's really no syntax code highlighting. We just wanted them to write Terraform. And now we are in these day 2 operations where we can scale out, where we can build a good foundation to have users use Terraform Cloud, and get more and more deployments in the cloud. And this is where we ran into another issue. We needed self-service because people were opening tickets like, hey, can you create us a Databricks catalog, a Databricks schema? And we had to go to Terraform Cloud and manually create that workspace. And as you know, doing anything manually isn't fun. You have to create the workspace, set all the variables, set your variable sets, set the workspace settings, and that's really not ideal in the long term. So we needed a way to automate this. And of course, you'd be, oh, just use Python or just use Waypoint. Well, we tried that. We tried to use Python automation scripts. We tried to use Waypoint. We also tried to even use no-code modules, which all didn't really work for us. We needed way more control of the whole pipeline. You know, we needed a form that they could fill out. We wanted us to get an email when a new form was submitted. We wanted our users to get an email when the resource was created, etc. So we needed way more control, and that brought us to Backstage. Now, I have my gripes with Backstage. It is a really cool product, but if you want to host it yourself, it's going to cause a lot of issues. First of all, you need a whole team around trying to deploy this product. You got to pause a bunch of work. You got to teach your team. You have to learn JavaScript if you don't already know that. And then that's going to bring a lot of cost in there. You know, you got labor cost, infrastructure cost, or if you want to buy it through Spotify itself, well, there's more cost, and now you are hooked into a contract with another company that you could be that you kind of have to be dependent on in the future. So where does that take us? Where do we go next from here? We didn't really want to pause work. You know, we needed to keep our company moving. We can't pause our current work and work on a new platform just to have a little bit of forms to create infrastructure. So that brings us to where we are today. And you're going to see that we have 2 things up here once this clicker works, and that will be GitHub and Datadog. Now, why is Datadog up here? Well, Datadog has this cool thing called a Datadog Apps, which is a canvas that you can drag and drop items and kind of create a cool dashboard, but you can also drag and drop input field, drop downs, radio buttons, and then code JavaScript to those inputs and kind of have your own server, dev portal-like form inside Datadog. We're currently trying to explore that, but we have most of our forms inside GitHub. Now, I know GitHub is like the elephant graveyard of code, where code goes to die. It's all right. We're going to look at it in a whole new way, to where GitHub can now be used as a way to input request. And this is where issue templates come into play. So if you haven't seen issue templates, on the top of your repository, there is a issues tab, and there you can go there to open up issues on the repository. This is used a lot for open source projects, even Terraform providers. And on the back end, it really is just a YAML document where it does some GitHub voodoo magic to create you a template to use. And that is also tied into actions and all the other backend features inside your GitHub repository. So let's take a step back and look at what a IDP, or what we kind of want. At the bare bones here, we really just need a form to intake request. We need a place to store those forms. All right, we have issue templates. We have, everything can be stored in your repository. All right, and so when you create a form, you kind of need code on the back end to run to either notify your team or to create that infrastructure. This could be Python, or this could be Terraform, or you could have Python hitting Terraform Cloud to then run Terraform. And then you need a pipeline to kind of execute that. Well, in GitHub, we kind of have that all. Issue templates, actions. It's GitHub, so all your code is there, etc. So instead of looking at it like issues, let's spin it into looking at it like a request. Because here, you can see here on the right-hand side, I have my YAML-defined document that is a schema request. So it's a schema within Databricks. And so here on my right-hand side, there is the form. So that is now
at the top it says creating a issue, but let's use our imagination, be like that's creating a request. So here we are now requesting a schema. So that's step 1 done. We now have an easy way to create a form inside GitHub that anyone can do in a matter of 10 minutes, or 1 minute if you have Cloud Code set up. Pretty easy. So now we have our form. Let's take it to step 2. When we submit that form, what's going to happen? Well, this is where Actions comes into play. So Actions has a thing called Events where it'll listen to things that happen on your GitHub repository. And here we can have it listen to a issue getting opened, edited, approved, etc. So here on my kickoff request between line 11 and 14, I'm kicking off the first part of my request when my issue template gets opened and it has that schema request label on it. Now, labels are kind of crucial here because that allows us to give each form its own identity. Because let's say you have multiple different forms in there. You want to create a storage account, a key vault, a S3 bucket, catalog schemas, etc. You don't want every one of your actions workflows to kick off. And labels is where we can make each one unique and also tie it to a specific actions workflow. So now we have 2 things in place. We have forms and we have a way to kick off a pipeline. Kind of cool. What's going to happen next? Well, we want, as I said in the past, we want our team to get notified. So here we leverage SendGrid to just send our team an email when someone opens up a request on our repository. So here, someone opened up a new schema request, and our team got sent this email through Python, and I'm like, hey, someone wants a new schema, please go look at it. And with inside Actions, you can actually grab that issue URL and pass it into your Python script, and then you can pass that into SendGrid to then send you that link. So here we just have to open up this email, click that link right there, and that'll take us right back to the issue. So now we have 3 things complete in a matter of a few minutes. We've got a form, a pipeline, a way to get notified. Now let's take it farther. We want a way to approve these requests. So going back to labels, I can add this little nifty approve label that I created myself to then kick off another actions pipeline. So here, adding this approve label to this schema request is going to kick off step 2 in our actions pipeline. And that's going to go out and create our schema, our schema workspace inside Terraform Cloud. And then we are very happy because now the requester can get an email when that gets deployed, which is pretty cool. And that's a pretty good mission accomplished here. And that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish. And so how are we doing that? How's that happening? It's pretty simple. We are using GitHub, issue templates, actions, and the Terraform Cloud API code. Now, if we're here, we could have a foundation of Terraform configurations already set up. We are at the stage where we want self-service. So we already have that foundation set. We just need a way to create Terraform Cloud workspaces, set the settings, notify our users, and get infrastructure out there with a click of a button. So that is going to take us to our live demo, which let me unlock my computer first before we switch over here. All right, so if we want to switch over to the live demo, now it is all pressure because this has to work the first time. And if it doesn't, don't worry, I have other things set up. So here we are inside our Terraform Cloud. And here we don't have any workspaces yet named well, it'll be HashiCorp, but let's go to our request. So here is a very stripped down repository. I just have a little bit of code in here. So at the top, if we go to this issues tab and we go to our available issues, we have a new Databricks catalog request. So here, I'm the end user. I'm going to go to this, okay, I want a new Databricks catalog because we set up restrictions. We don't want anyone just to go out there and create infrastructure without our golden workflows. No one really wants that. That's a lot of cost, etc. So here is my issue template for a catalog request. So if I go to fill this out, here are all my inputs. We got the catalog name, the storage account, the container, data classification, life cycles. Let's go ahead and fill this out live here. So I'm going to put in HashiCorp, and I'm going to get creative and also do HashiCorp right here. Can anyone guess what this is going to be? All right. So there is our main 3 settings here. I'm going to select the data classification. Since we do use Kroger data, we have all different types of classification, but for this one, we're going to keep it to unrestricted. Now, we can do life cycles here. We can do dev, but don't worry, we have multi-select enabled. So if we want to, we can deploy this to dev, test, and stage, or we can deploy to all environments. But here, for the sake of this demo and for the sake of the Terraform apply running, let's just do dev. And now we're going to select a contact here. I have a couple people here, but I'm going to do Rust Renegade for all you Rust people out there. Props to you guys. And of course, the most commonly used GitHub commit. I really hope this works. So we are going to create this, and let's see what happens on the action side. So as I talked about in the past, we should have a new workflow being kicked off here, which we do. So this is my catalog request, and you're going to see 2 steps here. One is this should just notify our team. Let's take a look at the workflow while that's running. And this is the kickoff request part, and this happened because we opened up a request and because it has that catalog request label on it. And all this is doing is checking out the repository, setting up Python, getting our dependencies installed, and here is the big one. It's converting that issue body template, so the user's inputs, to a text file, which we can then input that into our Python code. Now you can also convert this to JSON, but I like to handle that in Python myself so I can easily control what it looks like. And now we are setting up our catalog request here. And as you see here, this worked. So if we go to my email here, we should see a new email from our DL, which is our automation email, that hey, someone opened up a new catalog request. So let's go ahead and view this right here. And this should take us right back to that request that was opened. So now we can see everything on here. And another thing to add about labels is only admins on the repo can add labels. So that can lock people out of trying to approve their own request. If they want to get sneaky with it, they can't. You can control everything on the repository yourself. So now I'm the admin here, so I'm going to take a look at this. This guy wants a HashiCorp catalog. Let's make sure he knows how to spell, which he does. Congrats, he passed English. And now we're going to take a look at these. And I also have our actions workflow automatically comment on this repository to let the user know, hey, we're looking at it. It might take a bit, but since I submitted this request, I'm going to approve it. So now I just added my approve label here, and that should kick off phase 2 of our automation pipeline. So if we go back here, we should see that part 2 is being kicked off right here. And that is going to process our catalog request. So it's going to do the very similar things to step 1, but it is going to run a different Python script. So here's our events. We got approved and the catalog request being added in. We're going to automatically close that issue. We don't want the issue to stay open out there, so I have this automatically close it once it gets approved, so we can keep everything clean and also keep a track history of all the requests that come in. So now we're going to check out the repository, grab the inputs, and run this Python script. So now, if we go back here, you'll see that we now have a Terraform Cloud workspace that is planning, already in its planning stage. So while this is planning, we don't have to, I'm not going to bore you and look at this, but let's go back and look at the repository here and take a look at a few of these aspects. So while that's running, you can see at the top there's a nice little yellow dot, so we can always check when that's going to be finished. So we have a couple things here. We have our issue form. So here is where I'm setting up my form so users can fill it out. It's pretty simple, and what GitHub does kind of great is when you edit this form inside GitHub, they give you documentation on the right-hand side about the syntax of issue templates. So it allows you to just read this document or copy and paste it into any AI agent. Be like, hey, create me this following these instructions here. Please don't mess up, and create me something like this with these inputs. So you can easily generate any sort of issue template, either manually or automatically. Next would be our actions workflow, as you saw earlier, being kicked off. And we have, if you see up here, we got a green check mark. I might be really happy pretty soon. So we're going to keep going down here. So we already took a look at this, and we have some of these SendGrid. These are our SendGrid templates. So I like to make sure the email looks kind of cool. I don't really want it to look like just straight text. I'm kind of, I like aesthetics. So I'm no front-end developer, so a lot of this was AI. It is pretty good at HTML and CSS. I'm just like the back-end guy here. So here's creating the catalog email. If it does fail to deploy, we could see this email, which I really hope we don't. And then this email also gets sent to us when a request gets opened. And then we have our Python scripts down here. We have our simple like reusable functions here. We have this script that's going to send us an email, leveraging SendGrid right here. And then we have this big script that's going to go out and create the catalog to our standards. So if we go back and take a look at this, now it submitted, but did it successfully get created? It did. Sweet. So now this got sent to the requester. This got sent to me, be like, hey, your catalog has been fully deployed by GitHub Actions. So now I can go out, take a look at this, be like, oh, here's my catalog, here's the name, here's the storage account I submitted. It should be ready. Awesome. And if we go back and take a look at Terraform Cloud, you'll see that it is also applied. And so that is how we can leverage GitHub issue templates to set up sort of a IDP inside GitHub. So if we switch back to the presentation here, I can do my final remarks on this subject and about why this matters. So I think this is a pretty cool process because this can work for an organization of any size. If you're a team of 1, a team of 10, a team of 100, or there's multiple different teams, anyone can have their own sort of internal forms that they can fill out either for their own team or external teams in the company. And that kind of allows you just to control the whole workflow in one spot without spending a dime. Because I mean, we all have GitHub, it's open source. Actions is free to use, you can self-host it, and it's cheap, easy, fun. So I just want us to all like take a step back, and we don't need all these new shiny toys coming out. We don't need the greatest and best products coming out. Just start slow. Start with building up your foundation, and then what do you need next? Okay, let's go to self-service. All right, you don't need to instantly go to Backstage. You don't need to instantly go to Waypoint, etc. Why don't you try to work with the tools that you have at hand? Have fun with it, get creative with it, and just experiment. I mean, all these tools out there do so many cool things that we don't really know if we don't look at it in a different way. So, but as always, have fun with your stuff, enjoy everything, and yeah, so thank you guys. Oh, and if you want to, you can follow me.